ABC Gippsland.
Now, if you're wondering what the rules are around exercising, let me fill you in. Outdoor contact and non-contact sport for people under 18 will be allowed from tomorrow. Only non-contact sport is allowed for adults. Skate parks will open again. Outdoor fitness for groups of 10 people, that is allowed. So you could do a group personal training session, for example. But indoor gyms remain closed. David Kiley lives in Loch Sport, and his son owns a gym in Gippsland. G'day, David.
Hello there, how are you?
Yeah, very well. Tell me about your son's gym.
Yeah, well, Stephen and his wife and 3 kids, they moved from New South Wales end of last year to Sale, and they actually purchased a gym in Sale and actually built it up really going well. And then a couple of months later, of course, the first COVID closed down, and they were closed down. They spent a whole lot of money on the hygiene and everything else that was required, went above and beyond. And 2 weeks later, they've been closed down again, and no sign of when they can open up again.
That must be devastating. Tell us about the effects for you and for your son and for your family.
Well, basically, Stephen, as I said, they spent a lot of money during the 2 week or the close down from last time, putting in a whole lot of implementation well above what was required for hygiene. They've managed to get a few, I think, of the government grants, but not a great deal. Holly, his wife, has to work still. She's still working. The 3 kids, of course, have not been able to go to school. So it's been a whole range of upsets and frustration, and basically just being told one thing by the government, and then the other day Dan Andrews turns around and says something completely different, you know.
So you've kind of directed a bit of anger at the Premier. You've written an open letter to him. What did that say?
Well, basically, it was asking him why he's done a backflip on his own sort of documentation regarding the certain steps. In step 3, on the industry guidelines, it quite clearly states that inside gyms can open under heavy restrictions. And yet the other day he said that because gyms are allegedly high-risk industries, they've knocked it on the head. They're not going to do it. It can only be outside. You can't move a gym outside. You know, you can't move heavy equipment outside like you can in a cafe or restaurant, you know. Both him and Brett Sutton have both rubbished the gym industry in their statements by saying high risk with no foundation. No one's questioned them. And then Brett Sutton goes on the radio and he actually says that there's no known cases from gyms. All their information is coming from international literature, not Australia.
And so, but is there any way, I'm just trying to think of a way around this, is there any way that your son could offer personal training sessions outside or do virtual classes or kind of, to use a cliche here, pivot or diversify to change the business to make things work?
Of course, I mean, he's doing sort of Zoom classes, he does online courses, the one-on-one thing, maybe, but basically it's not going to pay the bills. It's not going to keep the... He has clients asking him every day, phoning him, emailing him, when are we going to open? And all he can tell them is he knows as much as them. I mean, it's not just for Stephen and his gym. Every gym in regional Australia has been let down. I got a great email from David Hodgett, the Shadow Minister for Tourism and Sport. He's been working with Fitness Australia to try and get the gym industry reclassified as an essential service. Once again, no help there. Fitness Australia posted the other day that they had confirmation, verbal confirmation, that stage 3 would be allowed for gyms to open. They've just done another post on their page saying they can't understand why they've done the backflip.
I know many businesses who rely on indoor services can't open. I'm thinking of concerts, live music. I mean, it's horrible that you and your family and your son is going through this, but I guess there has to be a balance somewhere of trying to keep people safe, doesn't there? Well,
safety, I mean, gyms probably now are one of the safest environments to be in. They've gone above and beyond, as I said, with all the hygiene regulations, not just Stephen's gym, but the majority of gyms throughout Australia. You've got gyms in New South Wales open with no problems, with millions of clients going through them since they've reopened. Swipe cards for track and trace, every member going into the gym swipes their card. It gives their details. It gives their time of entry. It lets people know who's been there and where they've been, just in case anything happens. So gyms are probably one of the safest and healthiest places to be.
David, look, thank you so much for your time this morning and putting your case so eloquently. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
That's David Kiley from Lock Sport, whose son runs a gym in Sale, and David's been really active in advocating to the Premier and writing the Premier letters and making the case that gyms should be allowed to reopen. As it stands, they cannot. So there's outdoor contact and non-contact sport for minors, so for people under 18. This is from tomorrow, of course, and only non-contact sport for adults. Skate parks will open again, outdoor fitness for groups of 10 people, so you can do a personal training session, but indoor gyms remain closed. You're on ABC Gippsland. Love to